I'm Liz, I'm 23, and I identify as non-binary. The pronouns that I identify with are they, them. Non-binary is basically an umbrella term, and it just means any gender identity that isn't strictly male or female. But there are a lot of sort of like subcategories, like agender, bigender, just like a lot of different ways that you can identify under the non-binary umbrella.
Just put a very light coat.
Like a gray.
Yeah.
Okay.
Gray coat. Don't keep the light.
I've liked making art since like I was very, very young. It's kind of always been my go-to thing for like expressing how I feel or like what I'm thinking, which is why I'd like to start incorporating more about like my identity into my art, because I feel like that's something that I really need to express and that even like more people need to know about. I was actually seeing a therapist for a while who I kind of tried to broach the subject with her, and she like staunchly rejected it. She said like, you're abandoning your femininity, why do you hate being a woman, like this is wrong, it's a problem, and you need to like face reality. So I stopped seeing her like immediately. I don't really see myself as being strictly male or female because for me, gender has always been kind of performative. Like when I thought I was a girl, because that was the only option I thought that I had, I put a lot of effort into it. I felt like I had to dress up as a girl or like act like a girl instead of just like being a person. And I feel like it would be the same case if I identified strictly as male. I feel like I would need to fit some sort of role almost. And I feel like a lot of it is just very arbitrary and made up. There wasn't really like a moment where I realized that I didn't ID as male or female. It just kind of went back to when I was a kid. I didn't really feel like I fit in like with the activities like that girls would do or that boys would do. I was just kind of like somewhere in the middle. My parents were actually pretty cool about everything when I was growing up. They would let me like shop for my own clothes, and if I wanted to buy boy clothes, like they would let me do that. Like they didn't really have any objections to like how I wanted to present myself. I don't like this. They're pretty understanding of like LGBT issues, so I feel like if I came out, it wouldn't be a problem at all. But it's just like one of those things where I don't know how to have that conversation with them, because like they would have to stop calling me their daughter, and like they raised a girl, and like I feel like it would just be hard on them, and I know that that isn't what should matter, but like that's what I think of when I think of coming out to them, and I just like don't know if I'm ready to have that conversation. Tumblr was definitely a starting point for me, by just like introducing the concept, because before then I didn't really know that there could be an in-between between like male and female. I thought you were just one or the other. So when I came across like the terms non-binary and saw people using they, them pronouns, it led me to do my own research. So I just found kind of like online non-binary communities, and I educated myself about that, and that's kind of like what formed my identity now. The comic book that I wrote is called Cat City, and it's about basically just like a bunch of young adults who are kind of like getting out into the world for the first time. There's definitely a character that I kind of like made to represent myself, and I've adjusted their identity to be agender in like the new books that I'm writing, and I've also introduced a character who's a transgender girl, because like I feel like that sort of representation is important, and I feel like that's a part of myself that I need to put into my work, especially my comics, which are like how I tell stories.
The daughter of the fish and the ram. said, I am who I am, and what I am is a freak.
I wrote this song called The Daughter of the Fish and the Ram, which is like a 6-minute long song just about this weird sea creature whose father was a ram and her mom was a fish, so she's kind of like a mix of both. And she kind of travels the world looking for happiness, and she doesn't find it through like other people or through like making herself more beautiful. So like she just needs to like find herself kind of and learn how to like love herself. And at the end of the song she does. And I would say that that song is kind of about me, because when I was writing it I was still kind of like searching for an identity and figuring myself out.
She was strange, she was strong, she was doing just fine. She was strange, she was strong, she was doing just fine.
I think that a lot of acceptance for non-binary people comes from the acceptance of alternative pronouns from he and she, and just kind of like normalizing those pronouns so that people don't think like, that's weird, like I'm not gonna say that. A lot of people have trouble with they them pronouns, and I don't think it's because like they mean to misgender other people, but it's just not something that comes naturally to them. It's okay to just explore how you feel and not worry about being wrong or like changing your mind later, because I feel like even if like you explore being like non-binary or male or female, and at the end of the day you decide that you're just like comfortable with the gender that you were assigned at birth, like that's okay. And I feel like you could even have like a better understanding of yourself after all of that and like why you identify that way. So I feel like you should just like go out there and do it.
Her hooves let her climb to the highest peaks, and her gills let her swim to the bottom of the sea. And they still called her strange, but she didn't really mind. She was strange, she was strong, she was doing just fine. She was strange, she was strong, she was doing just fine.